We begin in Brussels, where the G7 summit has just wrapped up. U.S. President Barack Obama had stern words for his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. Obama made the comments after meetings with other leaders, where talks centered on the crisis in Ukraine, tensions in the South China Sea, and the ongoing conflict in Syria. CCTV's Jack Barton has more.
Wrapping up their summit in Brussels, G7 leaders urged Russia to stop the flow of weapons and militants across the Ukrainian border and cooperate with the authorities in Kiev.
Given its influence over the militants in Ukraine, Russia continues to have a responsibility to convince them to end their violence, lay down their weapons, and enter into a dialogue with the Ukrainian government. On the other hand, if Russia's provocations continue, it's clear from our discussions here that the G7 nations are ready to impose additional costs on Russia.
Additional costs means sanctions, though leaders disagreed over how tough those sanctions should be, with European leaders worried about risks to their own economies. There was also talk of more political and economic solidarity with Ukraine. Other big issues were covered, including climate change. Here, President Obama unveiled a plan to reduce emissions of US power stations by 30%. Tensions in the South China Sea were also discussed. In a written statement, leaders also said they opposed any attempt by any nation to pursue territorial or maritime claims in the South China Sea through intimidation. The other leaders also reportedly rejected an attempt by Japan to single out China in the communique. On Syria, EU leaders agreed to punish European jihadists engaged in the conflict there.
We have agreed to intensify our efforts to address the threat of foreign fighters travelling to and from Syria.
The decision follows the recent killing of 3 people at a Jewish museum in the Belgian capital by a former combatant in that conflict, and revelations that more than 30 French fighters have died in Syria. Jack Barton, CCTV, Brussels.